What is up, my friend? Welcome to episode 36. And today I'm bringing on my good friend, Jonathan Heston, to talk about where the biggest breakthroughs in life and business always occur. And the breakthrough is probably not where you think it is. And so today we're going to talk about the drama triangle and how to escape it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Anthony John Amix podcast, the one and only podcast designed to help you become unstoppable in life and business. My name is Anthony John Amix. My friends call me AJ. And my goal with this podcast is to help you remember who you truly are so you can maintain your center in the chaos, embody your potential, and unlock freedom in your life and business. That being said, let's get into today's show.
All right, so welcome back. I'm so excited to have my good friend Jonathan Heston back on the podcast today. Now, you may remember him from episode number 6, where we talked all about the 4 steps to add 6 figures to your business and scale to 7 figures. And if you haven't listened to that episode, man, do yourself a favor, because I'm telling you, that episode is solid gold, especially in this whole new economic times that we're interesting. It's still solid. But today is not about the steps of growing a business. Today is more about getting you a breakthrough in your life and your business. And unknown to many people, their biggest breakthrough is always someplace in their core relationships, because most people are hemorrhaging massive amounts of their own core power inside their relationships, usually inside their relationships with their family or possibly their clients. So today we're going to be talking about why that happens, and we're going to give you a very, very practical framework to seeing how drama plays out, and more importantly, how to escape drama and to take back your power. Now, if you don't know Jonathan Heston, let me tell you, you're missing out. That guy is one of the best life and online business coaches in the game. The dude's the real deal, the holistic package. He understands breakthrough. He understands business. He's been the lead coach for a handful of really influential people in the online business and digital marketing industry. And the guy's just amazing. And outside of being an epic coach, he's a wonderful husband and a father. Now, before I bring Jonathan onto the podcast, I want to let you know about Shift 101. It's a free online community designed to help you destroy mental blocks, embody your greatest potential, and unlock riches in your life and business. If you haven't already joined, there's nearly 250 amazing members inside that community. And if you want to be part of that community, simply go to ajamix.com/community to request to join. It's absolutely free. Again, simply go to ajamix.com/community to request to join if you want to learn the timeless principles, the scientific truths, and spiritual experiences to unlock a whole new level of freedom, purpose, success in your life. With that being said, let's bring on Mr. Jonathan Heston. Mr. Heston, welcome back to the podcast, dude.
What is up, brother? So good to see you.
Me too, man. I'm excited because we're going to do some great things today. I always like fucking with you with your shirt, because it's one of my favorite shirts that you wear.
We are going to do great things today. Dude, talk about timely. This stuff is so important for right now.
Yeah, there's
it's important for life in general, but yeah, man. I don't know, whoever's listening to this, you guys might be listening to this a few months or years into the future. But right now, what we're going to talk about is so relevant to any time of struggle, constriction, unknown, uncertainty. So good.
So today we're going to be talking about the drama triangle. We're going to talk about how to escape it. And many people really don't know what it is. It's really crazy to me that they don't know what it is or what it means. And so we're going to get into the specifics today, but let's just kind of go high level, 30,000 foot overview. What is it? And then why is it important to understand?
Yeah. Great. So the drama triangle, it's essentially a framework. It's really a framework. And I like to think of it as almost like a lens through which you can perceive your world and perceive your circumstances, perceive your relationships, perceive yourself. So it's kind of more than anything, it's a paradigm through which you can interpret things. And when you have when this lens is installed in your brain and in your perception, it actually saves you from a ton of stress, struggle. It saves you from getting stuck in traps because you can see them coming before they happen. And it saves you from being in a place where you're stressed and overwhelmed and internally just not at peace and not in a place of certainty and power for yourself. So it's an incredibly, incredibly powerful framework that when you have awareness of it is going to just freaking help you on so many different levels throughout your relationships specifically, but in how you relate with yourself, relate to your business, relate to everything in life.
Yeah, and I find that this thing helps people take back a lot of power. I know it really helped me I know it helps a lot of our
Yeah.
clients. So I'm curious, like, how did you come about learning the drama triangle?
Yeah. So I first learned the drama triangle. I think I first heard it from either Gay and Cutie Hendricks. Gay Hendricks is the author of The Big Leap, or Christopher John Stubbs, who is really good friends with Gay Hendricks, and so he teaches a lot of Gay Hendricks stuff. So when I think I was working with Stubbs, Christopher was one of the first times that I heard it. But it's really rooted, like since then, it's become a passion of mine. And I've dove super, super deep. A lot of different people teach the drama triangle in different ways, but it originated from Cartman, Stephen Cartman back in the day, in like the mid
1969, I believe.
1960s. Yeah, 68, 69.
1969, maybe 67. You guys can Wikipedia. It's one of those 2 years, either 67 or 69.
Yeah, so he proposed this theory, this basically this framework, and then someone else, I should have looked it up, but I don't remember her name. But she even wrote a paper on it, like I think in the 80s or 90s. And so a lot of papers I've gone back and studied and read, and it's really opened up the framework and the possibilities of the framework to me on a much deeper level.
Nice. Now, before you understood this whole concept of drama triangle, what was life like for you before understanding it?
Yeah, so it was run by drama. My life was full of drama. Like I was bouncing around. And as we get into the drama triangle and really start explaining the archetypes and the framework itself, and you start to see yourself living out the framework, and towards the end of this podcast or in the middle of this podcast, I guarantee you're going to start getting little ahas of like, wait, I'm playing out that pattern. Wait, this pattern is actually predictable. Wait, I can actually see that I know what's going to happen in this relationship, or I know what's going to happen if I continue down this road. It's very predictable. There's going to be a set number of responses that are, interestingly enough, predictable. You know that they're coming. You know how they're set up. When you start to see that in your own life, it's incredibly powerful because it gives you awareness and gives you wisdom. And before the drama triangle, for me, I just thought life was doing me. Drama, and not drama is like an everyday word for me now, but for those of you that don't use the word drama, let's just kind of define it. Drama is basically, it's stress, it's constriction, it's frustration, it's in a way it's fear, anger, and sadness in how you're relating with yourself or with others. And it's living in that place of like, in a way, sometimes you feel hopeless, sometimes you feel like things have to change, but there's that inner angst, if you will. So I kind of catch all that inner angst into the word drama. So living in a place of drama where I'm caught up in the stories, I'm caught up in the stress, I'm caught up in the anxiety, I'm caught up in the fear, the anger, the sadness, I'm caught up in the frustration, this ongoing frustration with how you relate with your loved ones or your employees or your clients or the government or God or yourself. Like, my life was like full of drama, and I didn't even have an awareness that was happening. I just thought that was just my normal. And I think a lot of people just live like, oh, that's just the way it is. That's how relationships are. That's how, that's how marriages are. That's how parenting is. That's how an employee boss relationship is. That's how my business is. And before I had this lens, I just thought it was what everyone did and what was normal. Once I had this lens, however, I had awareness, and not only an awareness, I could see the patterns and I could see how they played out and how I made them play out, how I was creating the drama, how I was the drama denominator. Like everything comes back, like you and I, we talk about core power a lot, but like how everything comes back to you. Everything comes back to me. Everything, like all the results that I have in my life right now are a direct result of me. Like they are a reflection of how I've shown up and how I haven't shown up. They're a reflection of how much I'm in drama and how much I'm not in drama. They're a reflection of all of those things. So I'm a big believer that anything that you create from drama will create more drama.
Yeah. It's in accordance with the law of being, law of being stating the world gives you exactly that which are at your core. So it makes sense to me if at our core, consisting of our thoughts and feelings that we're holding on to predominantly, if they're in drama, that stress, then life's just going to give us more opportunities to perpetuate that stress and that struggle.
Yeah, totally.
So,
and it's just like, having the ability to recognize where you're in drama and have the awareness of it, and also know like, oh, this is how this is going to play out. It gives you the ability to shift things, how you relate with yourself, with others. It gives you the ability to shift those things quicker and faster before that whole drama like really builds up, and then you have this like huge mess on your hands.
So I'm curious, like specifically, what was some of the drama for you? I know for me, it showed up in the way that I was like trying to be the nice guy. I was trying to prove my worth to my clients, and as a result, they were always like taking and taking, and then I was just like, and there's like a lot of stress there, struggle there, a lot of burnout. That was like probably one specific for me. Another one was just like a lot of stress and tension with my wife, specifically arguments that was totally rooted in drama. What were some of the specifics for you?
Yeah, I think mapping out the specifics might be a little bit more powerful once we cover the entire frameworks, but I'll address that really quick. So part of my paradigm for drama, like drama is definitely an interrelational thing. Like you can be in drama with yourself, you can be in drama with God, you can be in drama with the government, you can be in drama with your business. So that's one like pocket, but where it really plays out is interrelationally with other people. And I believe that your biggest breakthroughs in life, your biggest breakthroughs in business, and anything that you're going to create, it almost always is going to come down to a huge breakthrough in your relationships. And to me, the drama triangle is one of the number one frameworks to have awareness about how you're relating with others. And I just really believe nothing lasting happens outside of a co-creative relationship. And relationships are what cause us to recognize and see where we're seeking instead of sourcing. And they're like a mirror. Like how I relate with other people, it's a mirror for my own growth. It's a mirror of like, if you look at how you relate with your closest loved ones, there's an incredible mirror there to show you both your power and to show you the areas where you're not in power at all. It's like reflecting our biggest strengths and weaknesses. So if we zoom out, there's that value there. Like relationships are your biggest breakthroughs. Now, what's an amazing tool to help you see where your relationships are in power and where they're not? And that would be the drama triangle. And that's why we're talking about it. So to answer your question, where have I like seen drama? Like as we go through and I start to explain the three archetypes, there's hero, there's victim, and there's villain. I was massively starting out in the hero role and basically showing up to save people and showing up to, I call it heroing people, showing up to save people and hero people from a place of, I thought that's what was the right thing to do. I thought that was loving. I thought that was like how to be good. And also from a place of like, I liked being the person that saved other people. I liked getting that respect, getting that ego stroke, if you will, of like, oh, like he really helped me out. Like it felt good to be the person that really helped out other people and to be seen as like, oh, like he's going to take care of you. It's going to like, so I started out in that position. I not only like naturally started in that position, but I sought out. I tried to become like, I raised my hand to volunteer to be that person.
Yeah.
Both in my relationships with Chloe, my wife, my relationship with like my siblings, my relationship with clients, and with like back when I had jobs, like even like showing up to like save the day on the job site. And so what that set up was this massive, a lifetime of being enmeshed in other people's, worrying about what other people thought about me, and that like dictating how I behaved, but also enmeshed in these patterns of not feeling seen or respected, enmeshed in these patterns of attracting, like sacrificing myself for others over and over again and not taking care of myself on a deep level. And when you start sacrificing yourself for others, then you actually care about how they behave and how they don't behave. And so really what that translates to, if you follow that thread all the way down, it translates to you're living your life based upon what you think other people are thinking or doing. And you're not even fully aware of who you are and what you're what you're about outside of what these other people are about. And Byron Katie talks about this really well. She's like, look, there's your business, there's God's business, and then there's other people's business. And like I spent a lot of time in drama thinking about and contemplating other people's business. And I didn't know how to give other people the gift of their experience. I didn't know how to let other people experience even pain or the results of their decisions. I felt like I had to save them from even their own decisions, which is just, it's hilarious at this point. It wasn't hilarious back then because It was like, it burned me out, man.
Yeah. And dude, I know a lot of people listening to this can totally relate. So let's just go ahead and dive deep into, really specifically what is drama triangle. You've already talked about the 3 archetypes. So let's talk about those 3 archetypes and let's talk about like kind of the impact that it's having on people and how that plays out.
Yeah. So I want you to imagine an upside down triangle. Okay. So there's an upside down triangle, and so there's the top left corner, there's the top right corner, and then there's the triangles pointing down. There's the bottom. So each of these angles, top left, top right, and bottom, there's three angles, and they kind of dance with each other. And each one kind of stands for an archetype, if you will. So the top left is hero. The top right is victim. I'm actually drawing it on a piece of paper. And the bottom one is villain. So I know some of you are on audio, so you're just going to have to visualize it. Those of you that are on YouTube, that's kind of like how it looks like. And before I dive into the dance, because like the awareness of how powerful this framework happens when you start to realize how the dance happens, like in a relationship. So before I dive into that, I want to invite you into a few things to consider about this. Number one, this is very fractal, and what I mean by that is someone can dance this dance of drama in a single conversation. So they can play out the hero role at the beginning of the conversation, move into the victim role a few seconds later, and then move into the villain role by the end of the conversation in a matter of 30 seconds. So it's very fractal in that, like, if you zoom way in, this can be happening in a minute. It can be happening in a few seconds. If you zoom way out, you can also see common averages and threads in people's lives where, like, a husband and wife, for example, could play out, like, the husband could be in hero for 10 years. Like, that's kind of the predominant way that he's behaving as hero, and then 10 years in victim, and then 10 years in villain, and could be dancing that out. It's extremely fractal in terms of time. It's also very fractal in terms of, like, what are you in drama with? And I've mentioned this a few times, but you can be in drama with yourself. You can play out these archetypes with yourself. You can play out these archetypes with something that's like kind of a thing, be it your job, be it your business, be it the government, and how you relate with your government or politics, be it the economy. Like, you can play this out, be it God, you can play it out with a thing. And you can also, and like I said, you can play it out with your closest relationships or distant, any relationship, really. You can play this out. So this framework can kind of be superimposed and give you awareness and insights about who you are and how you're showing up, pretty much with anything that you relate with. Like, it's very powerful in that way. It's very practical and very powerful. Fractal. Yeah, is that a word?
It's totally a word. Practical is totally 100% a word.
We just created it. Let's stick it in Wikipedia. So yeah, that's one reason why I really like it, because once you understand it, you can really superimpose it on anything. So let's dive into the archetypes and what they are. So the hero archetype is essentially, the quickest way to describe it is someone is sacrificing their own win for someone else. They're doing something that isn't actually like in their heart and in their gut and in their own integrity. It's not a win for them. and they're doing it in order to essentially save someone else. They're viewing someone else as not capable, not powerful, not equal in a way, and needing saving. They're viewing someone else as someone who needs, like, they have to have help, they need saving, and they're sacrificing themselves in a way that is not a win for that other person. Now, there's a few distinctions I want to make here. If you want to help somebody and it's a win for you to help somebody, then you're not heroing. When it becomes the heroing is when it is no longer a win for you to it's not a win-win. It's not a win-win situation. And a lot of times people will sacrifice in the short term because they hope to get paid off somewhere in the long term. And that's where you can really get in trouble. Like if the sacrifice is a win for you without any attachment. So what I mean, it's not a manipulation move where it's like, oh, well, I'll give up this for you in hopes that in the future you'll see, you'll love me, or in the future you'll give this back to me, or whatever. That's a hero move. You're sacrificing. It's not like in and of itself, the movement isn't a win for you. Now, if you can help someone and be absolutely unattached to how they respond, then that's not a hero place. That's a place of true, like, you're giving. So that distinction is really important, because a lot of people, when they first hear about hero, they're like, wait, isn't that just helping, being a good person? Well, that's why it's so tricky. And that's why so many, especially in the United States, so many people start the drama process and they get enmeshed in drama out of what they really believe is love, or out of what they really believe is the goodness of their own heart. It's overflow, but it's not. It's ego shit, and it's gonna embroil you in drama. And I'll show you how in just a minute after I review the three. So the first one, top left, hero. Hero is you're taking an L, you're taking a loss in order to help somebody else or to save someone else.
So essentially, it's all about the I'm going to save you type stories, beliefs, meanings that are running at either a conscious or a subconscious level. That's kind of the bucket there for hero.
Yeah, like if I don't do this, then that person's screwed. If I don't do this, then they're in trouble. If I don't do this, then what's going to happen to them? Like that type of thinking. A lot of people won't think in their mind, I'm going to save you. That's an extreme word that I'm using intentionally. But it's very much like, well, they need this. I have to help them. They need help. It's kind of that energy. And there's two reasons why people step into hero. I mean, number one, if you look at the number one archetype in the United States anyway, right now, a very influential archetype in the United States, and a very influential character, not just an archetype, but like an idea that is really powerful in the United States, is the perception that Jesus sacrificed himself. Like Jesus took a loss, died on the cross for everybody. And that's that's what, when we think of love, we think of self-sacrifice, partly because of that. I think that's a tainted view of theology. And I have I'm sure you have a variety of listeners from a variety of different backgrounds. So I won't riff on this too much, but even within the Christian theological concept of Jesus, he did it for a win. Like he did it to win. He did it for a bride. He did it for himself. He did it for expansion. So even it wasn't even a hero move. It wasn't actually sacrifice. It was unto something, right? So, but again, predominantly in the United States, that's viewed as love. Like self-sacrifice is viewed as love. It's viewed as being kind. It's what you should do. You should self-sacrifice. So people do it because they have good intentions. Like that's the long and short of it. Like a shit ton of your drama in life, those of you who are listening, a shit ton of my drama, your drama, AJ, like it's from a place of good intentions. It's from a place of caring for someone else. It's from a place of love. Totally. But it's a freaking trap that will just follow you the rest, follow you until you figure it out.
I'm smiling over here because there's that old quote, which is like, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Yeah. And it's so applicable to this. If we take the meaning of hell, this meaning life is a struggle, it's not fun, we're not experiencing peace and power and our purpose here now, we're essentially in hell. And it really is, well, my intention, nobody cares about your intentions. It does. I mean, that's totally rooted in drama already.
Yeah. It's like we tell ourselves, what's the fruit? Like the road to drama. is paved with good intentions.
We'll have to
So
remember
true.
that one.
Most people enter drama triangle with good intentions. So that's kind of the first reason why people step into hero. And as I give examples, this is going to just like kind of light bulb for everyone listening. So hang on, we're getting there. So that's the kind of the first step people get into hero. The second reason people get into hero, because it feels good to save the day. It feels good for people to be like, oh, like, you know, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, you saved me. They like you and they love you. And, you know, it feels good. Your ego likes getting that, like, just getting that, like, oh yeah, I helped that. Like, I saved the day. Like, everyone knows that I showed up and saved the day. And of course, like, part of you is like, oh no, you want to do it secretly and all this. But like, at the end of the day, you want that kudos. You want that recognition. That feels good to everyone's ego. So those are kind of the two reasons. You know, someone wants to be in that position of power in a way where they're saving people and they're seen as like the savior. And the number one reason is just good intentions. Like, we think that it's loving and caring. So that's the hero. So that's the first archetype. So let's move over to the right side, top right of the upside down triangle, victim. So victim is really a place of inner resentment growing. There's kind of a twofold journey happening in the victim. But when you're in the victim role and you're in the victim space, probably the overarching way that you relate with other people is that you feel like you need them. You feel like that they're bringing something to the table that you cannot bring to the table. You feel as if you, you are not whole and complete without this other person. Or you're not, like, that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is like, you feel resentment. Like, you feel that they're happening to you. You feel like it's outside of your control and something is happening to you. And in a way you're getting walked on and you're a victim to something else, to another person, to COVID, to the government, to your boss, to your husband, to your wife, to your kids. Like, it's something that's happening to you and you don't have quote unquote control. You don't have ownership. It's not something that you can take responsibility for. And it's really this place of kind of the byproduct of living in that space of being a victim is you don't feel like you have control. You feel hopeless. You feel stuck. Resentment is building. That's kind of the external. And then internal, you feel weak. You feel powerless. You feel hopeless. You feel like you're not enough, that you're not good enough, that you won't make it, that someone has to save you. Like, you feel like you're drowning and you have to have a life raft. And it's kind of a catch-22, because on one hand, you're looking for something to save you, and you're looking for a savior to come in and like send you, throw you the life raft or throw you the little buoy thing. And you're desperately looking for that and wanting that. And on the other side of that, often, they say that heroes get crucified. Often when that does show up, resentment builds because it reminds you of all your inner stories that you're not enough and you're not good enough. And so, so that's kind of victim. Life is happening to me is victim.
Yeah. So essentially,
and that's kind of that archetype.
Correctly, it's just like all about the poor me story. So hero is all about the let me save you stories, meanings, justifications, rationalizations, and then the victim part of this is all about the poor me, meaning, story, justifications, rationalizations.
Yeah, so it's poor me on one side and looking for a savior, and then on the other side, it's like with some people it's poor me, please save me, and with other people it's poor me, you're horrible to me, right? Yeah. It's both sides of that. It's those two extremes. Yeah. Cool. And so resentment builds and builds and builds when you're in victim. And then we'll talk about the bottom archetype at the very bottom of the triangle, the villain. And so villain is basically that place where you're cutting off relationship. It's that place where it's like, fuck you, like, screw this. Like, it's very much it's not always cutting off a relationship, but it's a very antagonistic. It's directly attacking someone else. It's villain. I use the word villainizing. Again, heroing, villainizing, these are all verbs to me. But like, you're villainizing someone else. You're making them out to be the bad guy, not just internally, but like very externally. You're demonstrating, you're saying that, you're blaming, you're attacking, you're yeah, you're really going after someone.
And not only are you making them the bad guy, but almost sometimes it's maybe the other side of that is we become the bad guy, where we're like letting that anger build, that resentment build,
Absolutely.
and we are the villain, where we're like crucifying and chopping the head off of the savior.
Yes, absolutely. And we really step into that role. We step into that villain role. And I said, like, the drama triangle you can play out with yourself and with others, right? So what's really common is the dance between hero and victim. That's really common, in any interpersonal relationship in the world. It's very common to dance those two things out, at a job or with friends or even in marriages. But what's most common with our drama with ourselves is us villainizing ourselves. So if everyone listening or watching this really sits down and thinks about their internal thoughts about themselves, most likely those thoughts are very villainous. They're very like, you're not good enough, you're a piece of shit, you're failing, why didn't you do this better, why didn't you do that? And they're very like attacking and villainizing and blaming and kind of backstabbing yourself, like you're being a villain to yourself. So yeah, so those are the three. So we got hero, victim, villain. So you want to talk about like how people get enmeshed in this?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So here's basically how it starts out. And this is how like drama really starts to circulate. And again, this can happen in one conversation. It can happen over like, several months or several years, but essentially someone steps in. It takes two to tango. So the example that I'm going to give first is just on a relational level. So let's just imagine you're in a relationship with someone. We'll probably use like a marriage relationship because that would be the easiest. But the way it plays out is generally someone will step into hero role and they'll start taking an L for someone else's win. They'll start saving someone else. They'll sacrifice themselves to save someone else. And I'm a big believer that like God and life itself and love itself grows exponentially. So, and its purpose is to expand. So, 3 times 3 is 9. So a win times a win equals a bigger win. But if you do a -3, a loss times a win, it actually equals a big loss. -3 times 3 is -9. So there's an exponential wins or exponential losses. And when someone steps in as a hero and puts themselves into the equation and says, hey, I'm going to take a loss and sacrifice myself for this other person, I think what's happening is you're actually exponentially starting this whole drama process, and you'll see how it grows and turns into a big loss for everybody involved, even the person that you're trying to help and support. So someone generally comes in as a hero and they're there to save the day and they're sacrificing themselves. And what happens, so let's say AJ, I'm your friend, and I call you up and I'm like, hey brother, dude, I like things are really tough right now. Dude, I gotta pay this bill. Can I borrow $500 right now? Like, can you help me out, man? Can you please help me out? And you, like, what would your response be? You're like,
Of course, yeah, man. Great.
Check in, you find that it's a win. It's like,
Sure.
boom. And you're like, cool, you give it to me. Well, and everyone listening and watching, like, I want you to put yourself in these shoes. Like, let's say you're like, cool, I'll do that. When do you think you can have it paid back? We set up a payback plan. And then I borrow the money. The payback plan comes and goes, and I don't ever pay you back. So now, like, it's not like the agreement has not been violated. And let's say a couple months later, I come and ask for money again. Well, now it's starting to become potentially a hero move, because it's like, wait, like, we had an agreement, like it's not happening. I'm like having to chase you for the money. It's like, now you want more money. And so let's just say over time, you loan me money multiple times, and I am not in integrity and I don't pay it back. So what starts happening is, like, each time that you loan me money, like, you're starting to step into hero, because it's not a win for you because it's out of integrity. and it becomes a lose for you. But if you're thinking, well, he really needs it, he's my friend, this is what friends should do, okay, and you keep loaning money, like, yeah, sure, man, here's $100. Then what happens is that in our relationship, there's now like there's a divide, and our relationship is now in drama. And over time, someone who heroes someone else, that resentment, like initially they're like, oh, this is okay, but that resentment starts to grow, and that person who was the hero is going to slowly start to move through the drama triangle and become the victim to that person. So now when I call you, AJ, let's say you've loaned me money several times and I haven't paid it back and I'm out of integrity with it, and every time you see me calling or texting, you're starting to feel resentment. You're starting to feel like I'm taking advantage of you. You're starting to feel like I'm happening to you, that you're stuck in a corner, that you're not, you're starting to feel like a victim to my energy and to me. And it could even get to the point where like you don't want to pick up the call, you don't want to see my text. Like whenever we're having a conversation, you're pissed off, and there's this inner resentment growing and growing in you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So what happens is people travel from, and so anyone who's working with clients right now and they sacrifice and they kind of, maybe book calls when it's not a win for them to book calls, or, they go long on the calls when it's not a win for them, or they go out of their way to deliver good customer support or client support and sacrifice, time with their family or other things. Well, if you do that multiple times, that resentment for your client or your clients starts to grow, and you start to feel like a victim in that area of life. You start to feel like your clients are happening to you, that they're taking advantage of you, and resentment starts to grow. So that hero role evolves into a victim role. And then in that victim role, if that resentment internally is growing and growing and growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, then often what happens is that people from that victim role start to travel down into the villain role. That resentment grows and grows and grows. And then at some point, the anger, the sadness, the frustration, the stress, the overwhelm of being in that victim place bubbles over, and then people swing into villain, and they're like, let's go back to the friend loaning money example. It's like, dude, I freaking loaned you this much money. We set up all these agreements. You never pay me back, blah, 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 blah. Look, stop calling me. Stop texting me. Our friendship is over. Bye. You're a piece of shit. Like, hang up. And maybe that's like very blatant villain, but it also is villain when it's just like, hey, screw that guy. He's not someone he's not a healthy friend. I need to create good boundaries, like however you want to new age it or whatever. But it's like, hey, that friendship gets cut off. And that's really common. Like you see this with business partners, like divorces. This is what's going on. It's hero, victim, villain, relationship cut off. Business partners, hero, victim, villain, relationship cut off. Client cut off, clients separating, friendship separating. Like once it swings into villain, often, unless it's like a business partnership or a marriage, which will swing through villain several times normally before it's a full-on divorce or separation. Normally it's just like, cool, I'm just going to start avoiding this person because he's a piece of shit. like type of thinking.
Like I see my clients, and I'm sure you see your clients and some of the clients we work with together, they repeat this pattern. And the thing is if people don't become aware of this and learn how to, adopt a new way of being, then they just repeat the pattern over and over and over and over again. New businesses, new relationships,
Absolutely.
new friendships. And they just kind of go through this treadmill of building and burning and building and burning and building and burning for lifetimes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And here's the kicker. If it's a very committed relationship, so like maybe even a child parent relationship or a marriage or a business partnership, or even a long-term client, if it's a very committed relationship, then often what will happen is people will swing into villain. There'll be a fight. There'll be some type of contention. There'll be like a come to Jesus, like a sweaty palm, come to Jesus conversation, which normally will include like, you always do this, but you always, like lots of villainizing and people defending and attacking and defending and attacking. And then often what happens, like let's just take a marriage couple, for example, there's a big fight on Friday night. And then come Saturday morning, there's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Why are we fighting? And someone in that relationship normally will swing straight back into hero. and they won't stand on their actual truth. They'll swing back into hero. They'll start self-sacrificing again because it's the right thing to do for the relationship, quote unquote. And then they just start the whole cycle over again. And marriages wonder why they stay stuck on the same things. This is exactly what's happening. That hero cycle starts again. The heroes goes on for a while. It swings into victim for a while, and then boom, fight again. And it just keeps looping and looping until eventually, often, in the relationship, the intimacy just dies, or a divorce happens. And like, if you want to see this freaking play, if you want to see the true stuff that plays out in drama triangle, like, be with anyone going through a strong divorce and see like how intensely these hero, victim, and villain roles play out. Hero, victim, like, it's insane. Once the masks are off.
A big distinction here, because I think some people listening to this are like, okay, Jonathan, I hear you. I could see how I'm, playing at one of the archetypes. And if I'm caught in the loop where I want something to change, where I'm like, man, I don't want to be the villain. How do I avoid this? Like, how can I be in quote unquote love without being a hero? Like, I don't think a lot of people, like, I get this, but I don't think enough people have the distinction of what real, true, unconditional love is. Not what we have been taught to believe, which is what I would say is conditional love. If you do this, then I give you love, acceptance, security, whatever the payoff is. That's just an agreement, conditional love. We're talking about unconditional love. That's kind of the distinction I think that needs to be made here. So do you mind bringing some clarity to that?
Yeah. So there's a few different ways to think about this. I think the first one is that place of non-attachment. It's like really that place of giving people the gift of their experience, even if it's going to cause people pain. And when you are helping people, not doing it from a place of like viewing them as less than and viewing them as victims and buying into their victim stories, but viewing them as like a peer, like on a spiritual level, viewing them as a peer, and you loving them or helping them without any attachment to how they receive it or how they should or shouldn't receive it. And when you can get to that place of like loving, like that's unconditional, like, right? That there's no attachments, there's no expectations. There's not even this idea of like, you have to change, I need to change you. It's like seeing like, okay, that's your experience. That's what you're creating. It's not good or bad. I'm not judging it as right or wrong. Like that is like, like, even if we take this spiritually, like, let's take this to God, right? Like, my theological frame, my spiritual frame is that this is God, like, this is what God does with us.
Totally.
Like, if I wanted to go create a ton of misery and suffering, not only for myself not only for myself, but even for others, I have that ability and that capacity to do that. Yeah. And love gets to create that space where we're holding that for other people.
Yeah.
We're holding that level of potential and power and capacity for other people. So then when we're not loving in terms of like it's taking an L for someone else, we're like, we can truly know and be unattached to how we help, quote unquote, help other people, and view them. And to do that, even on a deeper level, to do that, you get to learn. And if you don't have the capacity to know this very well yet, then you're going to be in a lot of drama. You get to learn how to know what is actually a true win for you, how to know where your boundaries are, how to know what's a win and what's a L for you, and how to walk that out. And it's not something that's you're just going to get instantly. It's like a lifetime of just realizing and adjusting, like knowing how to change agreements and knowing like, wait, this isn't a win anymore. Knowing when something becomes a hero. Because often you'll start engaging with someone and it's fine. And then a little ways in, you start realizing, actually, this isn't a win for me. Like, I'm starting to go down I'm starting to hero and do this drama train. So that's part of it. I think the awareness of it is huge. I want to talk about the dance a little bit more because I think there's some huge takeaways here with the dance.
There totally is. And before we talk about the dance, there's one more distinction I want to make, because I don't want some of the new age people listening to this thinking they can just love people by, that acronym, letting others voluntarily evolve, because you can take that too far to the extreme where you're like, I'm not doing drama. I'm just letting other people's voluntary evolve and walk off cliffs, letting them have their own experience. So I want to make the distinction of what is that middle ground, because I know some people would take this and they're going to become cowards is what I would call them. They're becoming pushovers. I'm just letting people evolve, bro. No, fuck you, bro. Like, take some responsibility and speak your truth. So where is that pocket of really allowing people to have their experience?
When you really view people as powerful, like this is huge. Thank you so much for bringing this up. One of the main hero moves is actually not to speak your truth.
Yep.
Like, one of the main ways that people get sucked into the drama triangle is they don't speak their truth because they're afraid that the person can't handle it. And which means they're automatically viewing that person as weak, as a victim, as not powerful. So this isn't like, oh,
Yep.
If it's not a win for you to not speak your truth, like if there's things that you feel you get to communicate to someone else, and not communicating that would be an L for you, a lose for you, and you don't communicate it, then you're heroing and you're on the drama triangle.
Yeah, that was a big distinction for me, because I pulled punches for a long part of my life, because it's like, people can't handle the totality of me.
Yeah. So you walked around
so much better.
So good. I'm so glad you brought this up, because it's so true. Like, one of the main ways people hero is they're pulling punches with other people. Yeah. They're not speaking their truth. They're not sharing their perspective. They're not contributing to the pool of dialogue. Yep. And they're not doing it because they don't want to hurt someone else. Like, this is so common in marriage relationships. Yep. A husband doesn't communicate. Another good intention is like, well, she can't handle all the stuff that I'm carrying. Or he can't handle me telling the truth around this. And so you walk around not speaking your truth, which is not a win for you. It's a lose. So then you're heroing, and then resentment grows. You become a victim to them, to your partner. Resentment grows, and the next thing you know, you're blaming and attacking, and like, this is wrong with you. And really, it's not about them at all. It's that you're heroing. You're not speaking your truth in the relationship. So it's really, yes, give people the gift of their experience. When you speak your truth, then give the gift of experience of how they, like, maybe they will be hurt, maybe they will fall over, maybe they can't handle it. So that's part of giving the gift. But like, on the tension of that reality of giving other people the gift of their experience is also give yourself the gift of your experience. Like, knowing your truth and how to communicate, knowing what's a win for you, and communicating that powerfully. Because often, great awesome. Bring up.
Now we can get into the dance.
Yeah, so the dance. So I think there's going to be some more ahas for people on this, because so especially when you're talking with other people, the dance is happening, and so other people are in drama with you. So like, if I'm a victim and I show up to a party as a victim, then I will attract people who tend to want to hero or villainize me. Victims tend to get bullied, villain, or they tend to get saved, hero, right? If I'm a hero, who am I going to attract? I'm going to attract victims and villains. Heroes tend to, like, often, like, let's say a coach is positioning themselves in the marketplace, and they're like talking like, I'm going to save you. I'm going to help you. Like, right now, there's a ton of people, like, they're totally like, oh my gosh, all those people are out of job. And I'm not saying don't help people. I'm not saying that, but a lot of people are sacrificing themselves to help people right now.
I'll give you a great example of this. So there was a woman who came to Uprising, and she was a nurse. And so she was always like saving, like working extra hours, all the just pulling punches, all the time. And so she's now taken back her power. And I asked her the other day, I was like, hey, if, with everything that's going on with COVID and all that, if they ask you to come into the hospital, are you going to go? Like, what's a win for you? And she's like, no, I'm not going to go. It's not a win for me to go there. So I'm using this as an example because I even think people, again, good intentions. People could be like, no, I'm going to go save people, and they're going to be working those long hours right now. And I'm not trying to like belittle anybody who's doing that. Thank you. But I'm also just painting the paradox here of all of those people who's helping humanity right now. Check in and see if it's a win for you, because it's okay to say, nah, this isn't a win for me. I'm gonna sit this one out.
If you're doing it when it's not a win for you, you're not you're creating exponential negative.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, on a lot of different levels, and and you're taking away your ability to do it when it is a win for you.
Exactly.
And there's a balance. There's, glass can only spill what it contains. And so what we're saying is like, don't empty your glass, because then the glass breaks. And when the glass breaks with all the drama, then you obviously can't help anybody from a place of true helping, a place of true love, a place of true compassion, not just ego. So yeah, I love it. So what happens, and that story is perfect, because what happens is during her lifetime, when she kept sacrificing her hour, I'm very familiar with her background as well as, helped run the event. So she sacrificed her hours, her life, her family relationships over and over and over to a boss that was just like would run her into the ground.
Yep.
Right. And so what happened over that period of time, she moved from hero to victim. So the way the dance happens is heroes attract victims and villains. Villains attract victims and heroes. Victims attract hero and villains, right? And so when you step in as a hero, the victims, they like you and they love you. But here's what happens over time. They're having their own movement throughout the drama triangle as you are. So you might be moving into victim over time as your resentment for them is growing. But here's the other thing. Their resentment for you, this is super common with people that hero in the marketplace. They come up, they save the day, everyone likes them and loves them, but seldom pays them, or they like them and love them, and then 2 or 3 months later, they totally crucify them. So they literally swing from, oh my God, it's like what happened with Jesus, right? He comes into the city in Bethlehem, everyone's like, oh, Jesus, and they're worshiping, essentially. They're like, oh my gosh, he's amazing. And then a few weeks later, they crucify him. And this happens over and over again to heroes. Like you'll show up, the victims will like you and love you because they see you as the person that's saving them. Remember, I told you there's 2 sides to that victim. See you as a person that's saving them. But then over time, when you enter their space, they're reminded that they're not good enough. Subconsciously, they're reminded that they're not good enough, that they're not powerful enough. And no one wants to be reminded of that. Everyone knows that they're in their heart that they're powerful. Everyone knows in their heart that they are capable. And the people entering their space reminding them that they're not capable and reaffirming those inner stories, it causes the victims to swing into villain. That resentment grows. And so heroes get sacrificed and crucified. So let's just talk about, like, in a relationship, I want to talk about this dance a little bit more as it relates to a relationship, like let's say like a marriage relationship, and kind of show you how this really enmeshes in a really deep way, because each person on the drama triangle is moving through the cycle, and someone might stay on hero, but the person they're relating with might go from victim to villain to hero to victim to villain. Like they're just, they're clueless and just hanging out on hero. So like it's super fractal because like people could be dancing.
And also, Jonathan, real quick, make sure we talk about how 2 people can even be in drama with one another, but at different places of the drama, since we're kind of painting an illustration,
Exactly.
with couples.
Yeah. That's what I was like trying to say. Right. What else do you want to expand upon that? Like just how like someone can be like super in victim and when their own stories about the relationship, but whoever they're in relationship with could be swinging hero, victim, villain.
I just wanted to make that clear.
It doesn't always have to be opposite. I just want to be clear.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, but let's just paint like a super, super common one. I'm going to use very, like, no one be offended. I'm going to use very average terms and just very basic concepts here. I'm not saying these concepts are universal. I'm going to just really kind of talk, like just take these society archetypes to their extreme to illustrate a point. So let's just say we have a hero-victim relationship in a marriage. So no one wants to be victim. So if someone's heroing and saving the day in one area, then that victim, especially if it's a long-term relationship, is going to hero and save the day in a different area of life. And this is basically codependency. It's basically like this enmeshment of drama. Okay, so let's say that the man, and it's a male-female relationship. The man is the hero, let's just say financially. So financially, the man's the main breadwinner in the relationship. And so financially, the man is sacrificing, like he's working really hard and he's sacrificing. And maybe his wife is like kind of flippant with the money, like, oh, we need to do this, oh, we need to do that. And at first for him, he's like, yeah, this is what a husband does. Yeah, do it. Go ahead, baby, whatever you want. But then over time, her spending habit increases and he's feeling the pressure at work. And then maybe over time, he's starting to, pull into that victim. He's just feeling that pressure, right? That financial pressure. So he starts out heroing financially. The woman starts out basically in a victim role financially. She's worried about her long-term safety and security. She's worried about, like, am I going to survive? She's really wanting support from the man to contribute and make sure that, like, hey, like, I'm set for life. Like, financially, we're fine. I can go out and do these things. But if she were to check in, she may not feel like she is fully capable of making the amount of money that she actually wants to live with or spend. She doesn't fully see herself as powerful financially. And again, like I said, these are very just stereotypical archetypes. I'm not saying these are true. I'm just trying to use an extreme example to highlight for the purposes of this training.
And one thing I want to anchor just for clarity purposes, a lot of this is going on subconsciously. Like this isn't like the husband's had a conversation and said, you know what, babe, I am going to take care of you financially. And the woman hasn't showed up and consciously said, well, I'm glad because I just feel really insecure and I'm really hoping I can just go buy 8,000 puppy purses or purse puppies or whatever, the people who carry the puppies and the purses.
Yeah.
I don't know why they'd have 8,000, but this person does. And so a lot of this drama is happening very subconscious at a very deep core level that's totally unspoken. So that's really important to understand here.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like, until you're aware of the drama going on, you're not, like, you don't even know. You just think it's the way things are. Like, so yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So we have this power struggle basically where someone's like saving someone else. The man's saving financially in our example, and the woman is kind of the victim financially. So what that does in a long-term relationship, the victim position wants to balance out the powers, wants to balance out the power struggle. So often in our very extreme example, an example that is relevant to a lot of people in the country, especially older millennials or Gen Xers, the woman will hero sexually. She'll show up and hero sexually and do things that aren't, show up in a sexual way that may not be a full win for her, because that's what she should do as the wife. That's the loving thing to do in the relationship or whatever. But also because it balances the power. She has that. She's the savior now in that arena. And the man shows up as a victim sexually, where he needs her to save him sexually. And those two things balance the power out. Now, the problem is in the relationship is that the relationship now has these two drama entanglements. And in those different areas at different times, the man's moving from hero to victim to villain financially, and she's moving from hero to victim to villain sexually. And there's this crazy dance, and it's all just drama. It's like a clusterfuck of drama. And in most relationships, these are just two extreme examples, but in most relationships, even really good relationships, there's subtle hero victim entanglements going on. Like there's like 10 or 12 of these where, 6 of them, the guy's heroing in these areas and she's a victim. And then vice versa, the woman's heroing in these areas and he's a victim. And there's all this enmeshment going on. And it creates this massive codependency where it's reaffirming the victimhood in both of them. And occasionally dropping into villain around these things where these fights happen and then swinging back into hero. And it's just like this crazy enmeshment. So hopefully you can start to see how powerful this framework is and how like life-changing it is to start to become aware of like what is going on and why relationships don't work out, why business client coach relationships don't work out, businesses don't work out, business partnerships don't work out. When you can start to see like and really create clear agreements when you're entering into relationships around like what's a win for you, what's not a win for you. Start to become aware of like, oh, is that victim energy and are they looking for a savior or a villain? Start to become aware of your villain energy, your victim energy. Like that, it's like a huge heads up display, and you can see wrecks in partnerships and relationships in business, you can see those wrecks from several miles away. Because
And I
right now,
don't,
most people are just driving and they're oblivious to this drama stuff that's going on. And it's just like, it's just growing and repeating and growing, and drama reaps more drama. And they try to solve it, and they solve it with more hero moves or more victim moves. And it just grows and grows and grows until your life is just this snowball of bullshit drama.
yeah. And it's why a lot of people come to the conclusion that life is hard. Why I
Yeah.
think a lot of probably conservative Christians wanted to die and go to heaven where life is better, because life is the struggle. Life is hard. Life is pressure.
Yeah.
When it doesn't have to be. There is another opportunity where we learn how to start creating relationships with drama. Like, one of the things that I actually adore about you, bro, is I don't feel like we have drama. I'm not saying that we don't. I'm sure there's times that we do, but our ability to see it and navigate it is fucking like black belt ninja level
Yeah.
stuff. And
Totally agree.
I have so much fun being around you and your family. Like, it's just so life-giving to be around you and some of the other people I have in my life, because they're aware of these things and we can speak about it and bring the totality of our power to those communications. And it really is just like life-giving, so I'm using you and I as an example just to
Yeah,
give other
totally.
people some hope to understand there is another possibility where there isn't the heaviness and the struggle and the pressure.
Totally. Yeah, like it's just part of our dialogue. It's like, hey, bro, I think that might be a hero move for you. Can you like
Yeah,
check in and make
exactly.
or
Exactly.
like whatever? It's just like it's a beautiful thing,
So
right?
now that we've talked about
Um,
the drama triangle, what it is, the archetypes, the enmeshments, let's talk about like how to escape it a bit, but also kind of what are the consequences, because I don't want people thinking like, oh, just escape drama and life is fun, because it is on the other side of that. But when there is that entanglement, it's nasty, and the standing up process and the taking back power, it's ugly, and there is no way around it. I wish I could give you some pretty butterflies and rainbows and unicorns and sugarcoat it for you, but I can't. I'm gonna tell you it's gonna be ugly and it's gonna be nasty, and you're just gonna have to stand in the fire, and that fire is gonna refine you. So let's talk a little bit about how to get out of it, and then the consequences of that a bit.
yeah, so I think the awareness of drama is half the battle. Like when
Yeah.
you start to realize, like, oh my gosh, I'm totally heroing my wife in this area, or oh my gosh, I'm totally heroing my clients here, or it's like, wow, I'm villainizing that old friend of mine like crazy, and we still hang out, but it's like all super level, like superficial bullshit. And like you can start to take ownership and like realize, oh, I'm villainizing because I totally heroed, and then like boom, it's on you. Like you get to resolve it in you, right? So the awareness is huge. Like I've had multiple people tell me like this conversation, this understanding of drama, and just starting to overlay it over their life is worth thousands and thousands of dollars to them. Because when you really like, even if you listen to this podcast or watch this video a few times and start to really ask yourself, like, where am I doing this dance? And you start to see where you're doing it. Just the awareness of that itself, and the awareness that like, hey, you're going to go from hero to victim to villain, and you can start to see it happening in someone else or in you. That gives you like the ability to be like, wait, I know how this story ends. Like, I know where this is going. Like if you're on a sales call, for those of you that are entrepreneurs selling high ticket stuff, if you're on a sales call and you're like totally confirming that the person is a victim and that you're going to save them, I can tell you where that's going to end. They're going to crucify you, and you're going to be miserable. You're going to feel like a victim. You're going to swing into villain. They're going to swing like, it's not
And
how you
even
want
like
to build a business.
hiring
Oh,
employees,
so true.
hiring VAs. I see this play out with so many people in their organizations, and just the hiring nannies. I see this play out in my own life. And you know what's interesting about that too is I'm in this space where I'm very aware of drama, and there's almost times when I legitimately make hiring decisions not in drama. Like they legitimately are from a win,
Yeah.
but it's almost like people self-sabotage and can't level up to the place to experience the non-drama, and
Yep.
they bring their current way of being into a higher level of being, and they just can't handle it. They can't hang.
Those of you listening and watching this, 99% of your world are people that their reality is they're playing out in their mind. They're playing out hero stories, victim stories, or villain stories. That's how they relate. They have no idea there's any other way of relating. When you can become aware of that, this is the way of relating, then you are outside of that automatically by just with your awareness. So there's definitely, and it's probably not something that we can get to in this podcast. There's definitely like tactics and strategies to get out of drama, but the first, like
Totally.
the thing that's going to take you 80% of the distance is like having that observer chooser position and realizing like, oh, drama is happening here, and then checking in and finding what's really a win for you. Like that's the 80-20 of all of this. And I want to say, like, one of the first mistakes that Chloe and I made when we first became aware of this is that we made drama bad. We villainized drama itself. We made drama bad and villainized ourselves when we were in drama. And we even got like, there's a season where like, well, let's not talk about that because right now I'm just in drama about it. That's not the answer. Like, here's the thing: being in drama is part of being a human. And so, is drama like what you sow in drama is going to reap more drama and all that? Yes. Is it constrictive? Yes. And like, it's not something that you can necessarily escape. What it is like, it's a way of being. And when you are aware of that, that is one of the ways in which you will be for the rest of your life. You will play out hero, victim, villain stuff. The question is, what other opportunities can we create for you to step into? Not from like, hey, I'm gonna resist drama and make sure that I never enter drama. It's more of like an awareness that like, yeah, there's going to be times when you're going to be in drama. And one of the fastest ways to move through drama is telling the truth about that, raising your awareness around that. And then as that awareness increases and you become that observer chooser, then you can step into stuff that isn't drama.
Exactly.
So we're not teaching you this to avoid it. We're just teaching you to give you a heads up. It's a signpost. And like, the biggest signpost is the awareness of like, oh, I know how this story ends. Okay, how else can I show up?
Exactly. And I believe, drama is just a feedback loop of where we're draining our own power and the part of us that we get to love. So the game really is, like you said, it is about awareness. The faster that we can become aware that we're in drama, well, then the faster we can learn how to use some of the tools that we teach within Shift to 101 and also like our Shift course to get out of drama like this faster. And so the game in life really is about becoming how fast can you become aware and shift out of drama? And there's going to be certain areas in life where maybe it takes 2 months or 2 years or 2 weeks or 2 days or 2
or
seconds.
certain relationships or certain people.
Exactly.
Because it's so tricky. Because like, if you're deeply enmeshed with someone and you become aware of like maybe one drama element, they're still going to be in that. Then you're trying to shift out of it. They're going to keep sucking you back into it.
Exactly.
So yeah. And I love that distinction. So I just want to say it again of like, it's not about like making drama go away. I think it's a feedback loop that you're going to experience the rest of your life, that I do, that you like.
I do for sure.
But are you going to live in it for years or for weeks or for months? And are you going to keep sowing from a place of drama? So you're going to keep like not only living in it, but it exponentially growing and that pressure building and building and building until you like cut it off and then go restart the pattern with someone else, right? Are you going to live in that way? Or are you going to collapse time, increase your awareness and be like, oh, cool. Here's the feedback. There's the lesson. Here's how I'm going to zoom out and you're in it for an hour or two or for a day or two, and you learn the lesson and then you move on and expand and grow. It's just, that distinction is really important.
Awesome.
Because a lot of people, when they teach drama triangle, it's like becomes the bad thing not to be in. And it's like, no, it's you're a human. It's part of human beingness.
Exactly. So if you could go back in time and give yourself some advice in regards to avoiding drama, like more times than not, because we're going to, experience drama, like what would you tell yourself, man?
Yeah, great question. I think it comes back to that whole unattachment thing on two levels. Number one, like when you're really carrying, because a lot of people hear the drama stuff and what they hear is don't help other people. What they hear is don't love other people. And that's not what we're saying. I think it's really getting to that place of like, can you love without conditions? like, for example, let's make this like super, like, let's say you're a dad and you have a teenage son or a 20-year-old son who's like struggling financially, but they're also out partying and all this other stuff. And you don't know the line of like, how much do I support? How much do I give? How much do I like, how much do I protect? How much do I let the law do what it does? Like all those questions, right? And it's really, to me, it's finding, like, learning how to trust that giving people the gift of their experience, even if it reaps things that like are painful, but then also B, knowing when and where your line is of like support and help and love without any attachments to how it will or won't be received or what will happen because of it or what won't, well, without any like what conditions, little asterisks on it. So for me, it's like really finding that place of home, like that centered place of like knowing what is my true wins. And by my wins, knowing that like the action, like doing it for its own sake, the action that I'm doing unto itself is enough without me being like, oh, well, I'll toss you this if you know, so really finding the wins for me, and then I can communicate those clearly and create win-wins and all that. And finding that place, number one. And then number two would be the giving people the gift of their own experience. Even if I love them deeply and I know it's gonna hurt. People can feel if you have ulterior motives. People can feel if you want, like creating a space of unconditional love. People can feel the difference between a space of unconditional love and a space of like, I'm trying to change you.
100%. Absolutely. For sure. And they can totally feel if you're seeking to fix them, rather if you're seeking to understand them. I mean, it almost goes back to what I learned from Jeremy Eugene Wilson, which was the modern day currency, which is, trust and respect. And so it's like, if I'm trying to fix somebody or I'm pulling punches, then I'm robbing myself of that own trust, that own respect. And as a result, they can feel that. And I'm almost robbing myself of trust and respect. So people continue to like take that trust and respect, and it's this bleeding and hemorrhaging out, which then is diluting my own like ability, my own power to create and use my agency to make choices and decisions. It's robbing me of my own self-confidence and believing I have the power to make good decisions, to create results. And it's just like this endless like slide almost, where you're going down and it's just like you get heavier and heavier and heavier. And it's like, oh, I have no power, and you almost become apathetic a bit rather than taking back the power.
And not just apathetic, and maybe they're one and the same, but like depressed, like you just feel like you can't do what you want to do.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of the people that are really depressed right now or don't feel like they're in power right now, I guarantee you it's because you're carrying around a shit ton of drama.
Yeah.
And it is growing. And if everything you start comes with a big drama snowball, then it's going to feel light and easy and fun at the very beginning. You're going to feel like, oh, this is like perfect. Fast forward 2 or 3 weeks, the drama starts to grow. Fast forward 2 or 3 months, the drama keeps growing. Fast forward a year or two, the drama's breaking your ass.
Yep, so good.
Just the way it is.
Well, if somebody heeds the wisdom that you've shared with them today, what do you know is possible for them in their life and business?
Oh my gosh. Like if you become a drama Jedi, like you can co-create amazing, amazing things with amazing, amazing people. And have in relation, like it really becomes a question of how good can you stand it. And I don't just mean how like financially. I mean like what I mean by how good can you stand it, I mean how awesome can your day be minute by minute, moment by moment, how much love, joy, peace, fulfillment, like at homeness, like where you like you're just like you're there, like you're at home moment by moment, and there's nothing that you need that's outside of you. And I don't even mean that from a sense of like, oh, I'm a monk on top of a mountain,
right.
Detached. I mean at homeness with your relationships, at homeness with, intimate connections, at homeness with the people that you work with.
Yeah. My favorite
Like
illustration.
dude, when we jam together, like
Yeah.
you and me, when we jam together, time flies.
Totally. My favorite
When I'm in
illustration.
drama with someone and I'm jamming with them, time feels like, whoa.
So one of my favorite illustrations is like the monk at the mall. It's not like the monk on the hilltop. That's pretty easy to be out of drama. But can you be the monk at the mall where you're just like in massive amounts of chaos and you can still be at home? Like, it's like, to me, the most beautiful illustration for this.
Yeah. Especially if you're an introvert and you don't like malls. It's so good.
Exactly. So, dude, this has been awesome. If somebody wants to learn more about you, connect with you, do you want them just to go to jonathanheston.com?
Yeah, sure. Do that.
Okay, cool. And you have a book called The Unlimited Self. I have bought it. It's a great book. I think you have over 500 something reviews or 400 and something reviews on Amazon, something like that.
Somewhere in the 300s, I think. But
300.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was a marketer.
But it's self-published.
I inflated a little too big. My apologies. 300
It's
something.
self-published, so I'm like super proud of it. Yeah.
Awesome. What's that book about?
The Unlimited Self. It's about destroying limiting beliefs.
Awesome.
So identifying and destroying limiting beliefs. I wrote it several years ago, but it's still really, really relevant and really powerful. It's a great starting point
Perfect.
of just kind of as it relates to drama, all those villain stories are limiting beliefs. So if you're in drama with yourself and you villainize yourself constantly in your head, go read the book, because the book's going to help you identify what those limiting beliefs are and then teach you how to destroy them.
Awesome. So you guys can go get that on Amazon. Just search The Unlimited Self. You can do that, or you can go check him out, jonathanheston.com. So, dude, thank you so much for being here. I love you.
Totally.
Pieces.
And we're jamming out. We're jamming out in that shift group too. So
yep. You guys can get that at ajamex.com/community. And we have trainings, because this drops during like training 3. There's some really good trainings in that group right now.
Dude, I'm so
all about destroying mental blocks and unlocking riches in life and business and embodying your greatest potential. It is relevant more than ever in this season of life. They're timeless principles, they're scientific truths, they're spiritual experiences that give you your ability to create success, even in this crazy downturn. And I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying that it happens overnight. I'm just saying, like, you have power. I mean, I'm not even in the season. I mean, I took a 180K kick to the face over the past week, but I'm not in drama about it. I'm not like holding on to attachment. I'm just like, cool, it happened. We're prepared. We can move forward. What do we want to create? And understanding it may be an 18-month or a 2-year journey to get back to where we are, and maybe faster. But I know that my wife and I have the ability to create what we want. And so we're not attached to all of the bullshit that I think a lot of people who may be in similar positions would be attached to all the bullshit, because they don't have the goodness that we're able to teach within Shift 101 and that you're teaching within the Unlimited Self book and all that good stuff, you know?
Whenever the bomb of uncertainty lands in someone's life, it's going to propel them like at an exponential force towards amazing opportunity, or towards like amazing, not amazing, but like really bad constriction. Like it's going to accelerate. Like you're either going to get way more of what you don't want, and you're going to exponentially accelerate that, or you're going to get way more of what you do want, and it's going to exponentially accelerate that. And right now, depending on when you're listening to this or watching this, like right now we're sitting
like 6.6 million jobs lost or something of that nature.
Yeah. April 2nd, 2020, like a bomb is getting dropped right now. And most people are going to be absolutely accelerated towards what they don't want. It's going to just grow and grow and grow. And a handful of people that know how to navigate their internal self are going to be accelerated towards what they do want. And so I'm excited for that journey, man.
Me too. Cool, brother.
I'm excited for that acceleration.
Really
Rocket you. Cool. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Peace and love, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it, my friend, Mr. Jonathan Heston. What an amazing episode. This conversation was full of all kinds of goodies to take your life and business to the next level. This is the stuff that increased the connection in all my relationships, I tell you, with like the people that I love. It's raised my limit for how much money I can make. I mean, this is some of the stuff that's allowed me to make more money with less effort. And so I hope you really take what he shared with you today very seriously and start integrating it into your life, because it's super powerful stuff. Now, if you're serious about really taking your life and your business to the next level, regardless of the economic storm or what's going on outside of you, I highly recommend you're a part of the Shift 101 community. At the time this episode goes live, Jonathan and I were in the middle of a 4-part training series designed to help people destroy blocks, embody their greatest potential, and unlock riches in their life and business. And there are 4 trainings that we're doing. Training number 1 is called How to Make the Storms of Life and Business Pay You. Training number 2 is How to Protect Your Downside and Keep Moving Towards Your Goals During Chaos. Training number 3 is How to Recognize and Destroy the Invisible Pattern that keeps entrepreneurs stuck on the same problems and challenges over and over and over again. And we're putting the final touches on training number 4, and it's going to be stellar because I know the direction that training's headed in, and nobody is definitely talking about what we're going to be talking about in training number 4. So if you want access to those trainings and you want to be part of the community, simply go to ajamix.com/community and request to join. It's 100% free, and those trainings, I'm telling you, are stellar. People in the community are just really raving about them, going on about like how good they are. So again, just go to ajamix.com/community to join the group and then get instant access to those trainings. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Anthony John Amix podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, my friend, I'm out. Peace.
Well, that's all I've got for this episode of the Anthony John Amix podcast, but we have plenty more to help you become unstoppable in life and business. So head on over to ajamix.com for exclusive resources, information, and tools to help you break through to a new level of freedom, purpose, and success. I look forward to having you back for the next episode. Bye for now.